Finally, the first official front look of Galactus has been revealed. We'll analyze it after the intro. Stay tuned. Hello, Pop Culture Society. We're back. Let's discuss Galactus. We finally have a high-resolution front view of the face of actor Ralph Ineson, who plays Galactus, even wearing a practical suit. They actually made a Galactus costume. It's not just the actor's mouth in computer-generated imagery that's turned into Galactus. He's actually dressed up, of course, with a lot of computer-generated imagery and digital effects work on top of it. But we have Galactus right in front of us, the Devourer of Worlds, face to face with us. We were already getting some elements of Galactus coming in. In the first trailer, we see the shadow. The second trailer already showed the feet and back of the head. It was only a matter of time before the face was revealed, as I expected. In the last trailer, the one that's going to open pre-orders, they should show Galactus from the front with his face saying something, and we'll hear Ralph Ineson's deep voice, even though he doesn't have the same face that Galactus is often drawn with, which is a wider jaw. He has a longer face, but he has a terrifying voice. He really has a terrifying voice, so they couldn't have chosen better. And visually, it's not bad at all. I saw a lot of people trying to fix the image, making it more purple, more blue, and I thought, guys, if you knew what we went through to get this Galactus so close to the comics, you wouldn't be complaining so much, okay? He's a bit desaturated. His purple is leaning more toward violet, with less color, and the blue is also a darker blue. The depiction of Galactus has evolved significantly since Jack Kirby's original design, with his iconic look featuring exposed legs and a giant G on his chest, no longer being used. Each artist who takes on the character adds or removes various elements and details, with the G symbol having been abandoned since the 1960s. That giant G, no, Galactus is red. He's been purple and blue for quite a while now, including in the classic stories by John Byrne, and here on his chest he has a kind of cosmic clock, which could very well be an art that I found very close to the Celestials, to the aesthetics of the Celestials, something we saw back in the Eternals. The Eternals worked well with these discs that weren't completely balanced. They had some visual elements leaning more to one side or the other, and I think that's a reference to celestial technology. I don't know if there's going to be a connection, if Galaxio will be part of the Celestial plan, if he himself is one of the Celestials. I don't know how they're going to explain that in the movie, but it's very similar. Just think, we saw a smoke Galaxio not long ago, so for those complaining now that Galaxio isn't colorful enough, look back a few years ago and see that Galaxio was just smoke, because they didn't have the guts to make the guy with a turban. You'll see that we've come a long way, right? I know there are people now even saying that no, the smoke was cool because the smoke was like a poetic version of the character. It was even scarier than the guy in costume. You guys are out of your minds. You're just delirious with nostalgia because you saw the movie as a kid. And now you're like, oh, back in my day, it was good. You were happy then, and now you're not. That's the difference. So everything we've been through, and not just with the Fantastic Four. What happened with Batman? That's mainly what started all of this. If you look back a little, you'll see that Tim Burton brings a more serious Batman to Michael Keaton. And then there was that need to sell toys. Batman was a very serious and dark character. They began changing him to fit what people expected and understood better. Comics to make Batman more popular with kids. And even George Clooney taking it to total mockery. Even that attempt to make the movie Batman more like the television series Batman, which sold a lot by doing that, but without losing the connection with Tim Burton's Batman, which wasn't created to be a goofy Batman. It didn't end up being one thing or the other, which we know never works. And after George Clooney's Batman, superhero movies started to calm down. They got cheaper, much cheaper. They basically became B movies and took on a more serious tone, not really wanting to be like comics anymore, at least not like the comics of that time, when a lot of people didn't even know where the comics were back then. There was Blade and so on. There were some more serious movies. X-Men came with those black suits that weren't at all references to the comics, because of the fear of looking too silly, and things kept evolving over the years during these 20 years until now we have Deadpool and Wolverine, with Wolverine wearing a mask, for example, something they didn't even dare to do before, or even Doomsday, and now we're waiting for the X-Men to come back with their comic book costumes, and Galactus follows this trend, right, of being more, letting itself be more involved, more inspired by the comics. I believe people who never read a Fantastic Four comic and watched the movies long ago don't remember much and will see it now. You might even find it weird. The advantage is something I always talk about here on the channel. You have to work your movie in a way that everything is balanced. So if you're going to have a Galactus who's a guy dressed in purple, man, you have to work your whole movie to make that strangeness acceptable so everything fits that tone. And the decision to put the Fantastic Four in the 60s in a retro-futuristic setting matches that. So the Fantastic Four's costumes can be more bold because they are in an exaggerated universe. The villains can be bold, the representations can be bold, so Galactus can be like that, super detailed with grooves on his face, those lines on his face to give it a bit more texture. I thought it was really good because it also gives him an alien aspect. It doesn't look like just some guy in a costume. The details of the suit itself, the suit full of tiny little points of light looking like a city seen from space, it's incredible. I only missed one thing, just so I can't say I have no complaints. I just missed the square eye. I think the square eye is, you know, the square pupil? That thing is really genius. I loved it in the comics, and I would love if it had the Galactics we've seen so far. Their eyes are glowing, but maybe his eyes don't always glow. Let's remember that a leaked image from one of those special presentations at closed events, I don't remember if it was at D23 or Comic-Con, shows Galactus looking through a window, searching for something, and his eyes aren't bursting with light. So I think that could be a possibility for us to see that reference as well. In the movie, which is Galactus Searching, they say it's Franklin Richards because we know that Sue is pregnant even in the pop film, which was released this week. The newborn baby already appears, so we should really have a birth in space. Galactus would pursue the infant Franklin Richards as he foresaw a promising future for the child, which is known to comic book readers. But I won't give you any spoilers. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll be back soon with more topics from Turopop. After the event, some channel options will appear for you to click and stay with me a little longer. Tell me what you thought of Galactus's costume. See you later, see you soon, see you in a bit. Bye. Thank you for watching.